So let's do the questions on those. Then it will be pre-March practice exams. Oh, no, not this. The yesterday's one. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do the yesterday's one also. I mean the section B. Before that, we'll do this section B and go there. We'll see how those two are. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah. So where did I add it? PM. Yeah, refresh it. Self-assigned pre-mock exams. Tax. Oh wow! Finally. Okay. So today let's practice this. Next. After a long time, seeing a screen. This is how it looks like, no? Okay. So section A, 15 objective test questions, 30 marks. Section B, 3 questions, 30 marks. Section C, 3 construct structured questions, 10 mark or 15 marks in total, 40 marks. You're getting 40 marks there. Okay, fine. So, yes, I want to start with there was a good question. We'll come to these questions later. Can't we navigate it to the questions? Can we pass out these questions quickly and go? Bottom. The navigator. Okay, lovely. So I want to go to the question section B. State. What is this? Rajiv and Jam. No, let's do the other. So nice question. Question number section B. Is it question number 18? No. Wait, it's not going. You have not viewed the entire section. Please scroll the bus. Okay. Why is that? I hate these people. You got so much of section B questions. It's like counted one by one. No? A part, B part. Okay. You have not viewed the entire screen. Please use the scroll bars to exit before. Oh, the thing is, I can't. No, this tab is not allowing me to do this. Just give me a moment. Oh my God. I don't know why am I wasting my time. All right. I want to share it here. I don't know why it is not allowing me to. I want to go. You have not viewed the entire screen. I can't scroll beyond this. It's a maximum. Okay, I'll go next. Ah, now right. 16 to 20. Ah, it was the same question then. Rajiv, yeah. Yeah, we will answer from this. This is it the 16th one? I'm just doubting that. Before this, nothing. Yeah, fine. So let's go through this. I don't know why this is not working. Give me a moment. I'll bring the charger and I'll ask the keyboard is also. Right. How many of you have tried this question? Noah. Right. Let me share the screen in a split view. Right. So in this question, okay. So let's read it together. Now see question number 16 to 20, they are talking about an inheritance tax question. Okay. So when it comes to this question, Rajiv and Jayamal were in a civil partnership. So Rajiv died on 10th January 2024. So when Rajiv is passing away on 10th January 2024. So they are asking what is the amount of inheritance tax. So inheritance, what is the amount of inheritance, not the tax, okay? What is the amount of inheritance that would be received by Sanjay from Rajiv's estate is the question. So when you go through this, Rajiv left an estate valued 1.2 million. Can you highlight this? Why it's not working? Yes, you can. So I don't know. It's a struggle, no? Okay. So Rajiv left an estate of 1.2 million for inheritance tax purposes after deducting an allowable expenses of 50,000. So that is after deducting the allowable expenses, he is leaving his estate of how much? 1.2 million. So he is leaving 1.2 million after deduction of 50,000. Under the terms of his will, Rajiv left £500,000 to his civil partner. So you're leaving the estate. You're leaving the estate a worth of 1.2 million, where you should know the fact when it comes to a civil partnership or a relationship of between husband and wife, whatever the things that you transfer among y'all or between y'all is going to be exempt, isn't it? So whatever this 500,000 was transferred between them will get exempt. So that is the rule. So which means it will leave you around 700,000. Is that your answer? It's one of the options. So don't be hurried. And also, and Jamal and the residue of the estate to his brother Sanjay, and they are telling that Rajiv had made no lifetime transfers. So they are telling an indication that till to date Rajiv has not made any lifetime transfers. So what does it mean? So if he is not have made lifetime transfers means his nil rate band is completely available for him. His nil rate band is completely available. So what is the nil rate band? 325. No, that is not the amount that he is receiving. Anyways, nil rate band also will be utilized, right? We will come back to the situation. Okay. I didn't get you.
3,000 won't be an exemption.
That 3,000 won't be? No, the annual exempt amount we're talking about. No, we are just calculating how much transfer. Here we are not going to calculate how much is the percentage that we need to take. Okay, fine. So the question is, what is the amount of inheritance that would be received, not the tax liability. So at this moment, how much is the remaining? 375. So which means that, so they are telling that Rajiv's left an estate value 1.2 million. So of that 500,000 he's transferring to whom? His civil partner. So they are asking us what is the amount of inheritance that would be received. Okay, his estate, the residue value of the estate to his brother Sanjay. How much you are transferring it to Sanjay. So in this instance, so I'm just telling you what is the tax rate that you need to pay. Yeah, he died on 10th. No. So generally the tax rate is how much? 40%. 40% on what? The remaining. So what is the tax rate on this? 375 is 40%. Yeah, if he dies within 7 years. 150,000. So what I'm trying to say is, luckily that 150,000 is not there. Now, when you're choosing the answer, so you told me why it shouldn't be 700. So can it be 700,000?
Why I'm showing this because the amount so 325 annual exemptions will apply to a child tax.
Fact. What you're saying is correct. So it will not apply. So you are trying to determine what is the amount that needs to be inherited or what needs to be transferred. However, this 700,000, this nil rate grant is not applicable. However, this 150,000 will be paid by whom? This 150,000 will be utilized by whom? Sanjay. So, if Sanjay pays this, he's getting 700,000 worth of an estate. So, of that, if he reduces 150,000, so he's left with what? he is left with 500. You got it? So they are asking what would be the amount received by from Rajiv's estate. So after deducting the death estate only, you will be getting whatever the remainder. So in this case, if you choose 700,000, you are failing to determine the tax. Yeah.
Then say that we join the tax,
Mhm.
we have to exemptions.
No. Here you need to understand how much on the death estate you need to pay to the property. At that point, you need to pay this. This, yeah.
So if due,
Okay.
then we can give
Okay. Even though if you are taking annual exempt amount, second thing, do you find your relations to the answers, the options that they have given? Technically, you can't. Okay. Here you have to just clarify what is the amount of inheritance that would be received on this point. So the amount of inheritance that you are going to receive at this point, estate is 1.2 million. Okay. You understood that 500,000 is exempted. That value is not received. That is not liable for IST purposes. Then 150,000 on this would have been paid. The balance only will be remaining to him. That is the amount that he is keeping because he needs to pay the taxes to the authority on the estate that he is being given because that person is dying within that period of 7. Okay.
if there's any estate in between, there's any sister or something, this no chance of they have to deduct that minus 2,000.
Any this thing needs
Any estate, like part of it transfer to his sister.
that will be considered in different way. When it comes to marriage exemptions, it's different. Civil partnerships, yeah, partly portion, a portion it, yeah. Deduct that 200,000, yeah, and you can apportion the IST also because he won't be completely bearing the IST, no? That also needs to be deducted. Fine, that should be the answer. Does it marks it as correct when or no? Nothing like that, no? Fine. Then, which two of the following could not have been included in 50,000 of allowable expenses for deducting from Rajiv's estate? Funeral expenses, you can. Cost of a tombstone, you can. Because these are the allowable expenses. They are asking which could not. Executor's fees, you need to pay. Executor's fees, you need to pay. The person who is going to take up all those funeral, estate, expenses, the administration parts and things like that. Yeah. Then repayment of gambling debt owed by Rajiv's friend, you can't include it as an allowable expense. Your Rajiv's credit card debt, it's allowable. Rajiv's income tax, he needs to pay. So the two things that he is not supposed to is the executor's fees and the repayment of gambling debt owned by Rajiv's friend. So that needs to be one of the easiest part in this question. Then, okay. Did you try this question? They're asking us how much of Jamal's 15,000 pounds. So 15,000 pounds gift to Lee would covered by inheritance tax lifetime exemptions. So Jamal gave 15,000 pounds to his nephew. To whom he is giving? Nephew. So do you remember when you're transferring gifts, there were some allowances for person to person? Do you remember? So to his wife means 5,000. Parents, 2,500. Anyone else? 1,000. So in this case, you are giving 15,000. So you need to understand the exemption that you are receiving on this, on marriage gifts. It's a gift on the wedding day, right? So on the wedding, so to the wedding gift, you get an exemption of 1,000. That needs to be removed. In this case, you can also utilize your annual exempt amount. So technically, it is on 16th June. There is no any identity that they had used it before. So technically, you can use 2 years annual exempt amount, which is 6,000. So the balance is how much? 8,000. Right. Luckily, they have not given you the 8,000. Now, what's the answer you are searching for? We are searching for the answer, the total lifetime exemptions. My total exemptions is 7,000. Did you understand that? The total exemption is how much? Only 7,000. You are not going to find what is the amount which is closing. So just in case, be very careful. In this case, 8,500 is given. But if 8,000 is given, means it's a disaster. So the amount of exemptions only they are asking. So the total amount of exemptions that you need to calculate is going to be 7,000. Then inheritance tax purposes, what was the transfer of value for Jamal's gifts for 5,000 shares in Zenith to Neelam? So he's getting some gifts of shares. So when it comes to gift of shares, so you have lots of method to do it, right? Okay. So in this instance, on 15 September 2023, Jamal gifted 5,000 shares in Zenith to his niece Neelam. Before the gift, Jamal owned 20,000 shares in Zenith Limited, which has a total of share capital of 50,000 shares. So how much is the total shares? 50,000 shares. So which means then the Jamal is holding the value of the Zenith on 15 September 2023. They have given if it is 10% holding, if it is 30% holding, and if it is 40% holding. So if a question comes on this angle, you need to take the value before and the values after giving the what? Value before and after giving the transfers or the shares. Okay. So in this instance, the value before giving the shares, so he's holding 20,000 shares, right? He's holding 20,000 shares. So the value of this 20,000 shares needs to be the total out of 50,000. He's taking 20,000. Okay. So that's what's the percentage? How much is that? 2 divided by 5, 40%. So 40%, which means this shares of 20,000 needs to be valued at 40%. When 40%, it will be 6 pounds. So that will be how much? 120,000 pounds. So after the gift, how much you are transferring? 5,000. So if you are transferring 5,000 means after that there will be 15,000. At what price that you need to find? So which means this 15,000 out of this 50,000, if you divide, what's the percentage you are getting? 50 from the total number of shares. Total number of shares is 50. Is how much? 15 divided by 50. How much? 30%. So at 30%, the price needs to be at 5. So what's the total? 15 into 75. So which means the transfer value of the is how much? 45. You got an answer for that? So that needs to be, for inheritance tax purposes, what is the transfer value? They are asking the value, that needs to be 45,000. So what you need to understand, if they are giving shares in inheritance tax purposes, take the value before and after. The difference between those two is your value that you have transferred. Okay, because the value of the shares has been changed in the market. If it is being constant,
Same.
take 5,000 into the normal price. You got it? But generally they won't ask you that. They will be asking you with the holding percentage. Right.
And if it shows on that day, what we have paid, 15 September.
15 September. Right. So this one is little bit tricky, right? So how do you see this? This is full of your theoretical aspect. Select the correct rate and due date for payment of lifetime inheritance tax on Jamal's transfer of £600,000 into the trust by clicking the relevant boxes. Okay, we'll click the relevant boxes. Jamal transferred £600,000 to a trust on 15 January 2024. It has been agreed that the trustees will pay the lifetime tax on this gift. So if trustees are paying, what is the percentage? What is the percentage? 20%. If trustees are paying, 20%. If donor is paying, 25%. 25 or 20 over 80 means 25%. 25%. So who is paying here? Trustee is paying. So trustee is paying means it needs to be 20%, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. So in this instance, who is paying? The trustee is paying. So they needs to pay only 20%. That should be the rate of the tax. However, due date for the payment of lifetime tax, how 31st July? Is it 6 months from end of the gift or later of? What are the two things? Take down. It needs to be later of 30th April after the tax year, or 6 months from end of, sorry, 6 months from end of month, 6 months from end of month of the gift. So when are you giving the gift? 15th January. So which means 6 months means February, March, April, May, June, July. 6 months. 6 months from the end of the month of the gift. So it needs to be 31st July. So these are the two options. You need to choose like this. Then only your answers will be marked correct. So these areas computers will read the answer. Fine. Right. Did you all try the back part? 20% and 31st July. 30, that's not the latest one. You need to choose the latest one. 30th of April following tax year. 30th of April, the next tax year only it will be followed, not this tax year. You got it? Not the latest 30th of April, end of the tax year period. I told you that needs to be 30th April after the tax year. So 30th April after the tax year means the following 5th of April, 6th of April to 5th of April. Yeah, so it needs to be the latest date. Okay, fine. So next one. How much pre-registration input VAT can Green Tech Company Limited can claim? So what do you mean by pre-registration? So before registering for VAT purposes, there are certain expenses that you are incurring that can be claimed as VAT. Okay. So in this instance, how much is the pre-registration input VAT? Did you observe something? Now, examiner, when he asking his questions, he is going section by section. So it is easy for us. So we don't want to waste our time just reading the entire question. That's what I wanted to say. I was just observing that, so we were able to do that. So in this instance, see the pre-registration input VAT. So Green Tech is registering from 1st of June 2023. So they are registering on when? 1st of June 2023. However, prior to registration, they had machinery which was used for business purposes and consultancy fees, and 1st of February 2023 of advertising expenses 400. So when it comes to pre-registration expenses, there is a rule that you need to understand. The pre-registration expenses is that if it is your goods and services, that needs to be within 4 years. You can go 4 years back. If it is your services, how long? You need to claim within 6 months. If it is services, it needs to be 6 months. So in this occasion, machinery, so you are registering in 2023. So 4 years back means 2019. So it falls within the period. So that I can take. How much is that? 5,000. Consultancy fees. Is it 6 months before from June? No. More than 6 months, no? So consultancy fees I can't take from the date of registering, 1st of June. Okay. So then advertising expenses. So that is how much? 400. So that is within the period, within 6 months, isn't it? So that falls within 6 months, so I can take. So it needs to be 5,000. Needs to be 5,004. My God, I hate this now. What is this question number? Why I can't go with this? Please scroll all the exit bars. I was doing it. Right. Okay. So this question is for Roshani and Devinka. That's yes. Now tell me what happens there. By July 30th.
We have to take the basic. Since the invoice also. And payment also not 24.
Devinka, did you understand? Hmm? Hmm? Yeah, correct or wrong is the second thing.
The explanation.
Correct. So you didn't come yesterday? No, right? Work. Fine. So in this case, let's read the statement together. The customer placed a large order for some energy serving light bulbs on 15th July 2023. So Greenwich Limited delivered the light bulb to the customer on 30th July 2023 and sent an invoice on 31st August 2023. So the customer is paying on 10th September 2023. So technically, whenever the customer places order is not relevant to us in terms of determining the tax purposes. Just you need to understand the date that he orders is not relevant to us. However, the point the customer, the goods are being delivered is important. So from the date of goods delivered, 30th July 2023, the invoice is being sent on 31st August 2023. Okay. Is it more than 14 days or less than 14 days? From 30th July to 31st August, more than 14 days or less than 14 days? More than 14 days. If it is less than 14 days, it needs to be the invoice date.
So 14 days is
From the date that he is getting delivered, supplied, the goods getting supplied. From 30th July to 31st August, it is how many days? 30 days. So more than 14 days.
So 14 days. So it means from 30th July. You have 14 days or?
No, when it comes to the basic tax point, when goods are being supplied, no. That's what you told, right? From that point, you need to see, is it falling into our actual tax point or not? So actual tax point needs to fall within 14 days. But this transaction is not getting within 14 days.
So 40 days from
Supply date. From the date of delivery, yes. The supply date means from the date of delivery. From that date, you need to see 14 days. So if you see 14 days, how many days you are getting? More than 14 days. Which means the tax point needs to be 30th July. If it is now, let's assume I'm telling you it is reaching the customer on 10th of August. Then the tax point needs to be 10th of August because it is within 14 days. Did you understand that? Okay. State whether the actual tax point is will be the invoice date. So we got 4 prices this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pawan is watching us from there. Then Pawan. Unfortunately, I'm fasting today. We can't go out. We'll go after the results. No? You understood, Prashant? No.
that one,
So what does it mean?
I'm giving a photo in
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he's expecting from you. Fine. We are having an iftar organized. Mostly it will be fall on a Saturday after your exams only. We all participate too. Okay, fine. State whether now for this you don't want to read. However, we need to understand this question. State whether each of the following statements regarding the flat rate scheme is true or false. You know there are several types of schemes, right? For flat rate scheme and then the companies, the general rate. Okay. So to join the scheme, the expected taxable turnover excluding VAT for the 12 months period must not exceed 150,000 pounds. Correct or incorrect? That is correct. That is true. That is what flat rate scheme is telling about. Now these are the rules. Okay. Then the business has to leave the scheme if the total turnover is excluding VAT exceeds 230 pounds. Correct? Correct. Only one thing is wrong there. What's the thing it's incorrect there? It needs to be including VAT, not excluding. Otherwise it's correct, okay? The law is you need to go out of the scheme if your total turnover including VAT is 230,000. Okay? No, they can't go for the flat rate scheme. Because flat rate scheme is going to be the lower amount than the usual rate. You got it? They're going to go for a percentage. Now we'll be having a calculation in this question. We'll see. They will obviously ask a calculation. The business must have committed no VAT offences in the previous 12 months. Yes, that is a requirement. VAT invoices will no longer have to be issued to the customers. No, that is false. You need to issue VAT invoices to the customers. Unfortunately, all these options needs to be correct to get your full marks. No half mark, no 1 mark, no chistus. Okay. So now in exams also don't mark zigzag. Okay. So here it's kind of a zigzag no? So just read and answer it. Right. Then okay. Now this is a flat percentage. Okay, then you can calculate it. Simple percentage. Hmm?
10,800.
How did you get 10,000? Okay, let me read the flat rate scheme. Green Tech Limited is considering whether to use the flat rate scheme in future. The company's forecast of VAT inclusive turnover for the year ended 31st March 2025 is as follows. So they have zero rated sales and standard rated sales, and Green Tech standard rated expenses for the same period is 24,000. So what is the question they are asking? What amount will be payable to HMRC? The payable amount to HMRC for the year ended 31st March 2025. So using a flat rate scheme. So if it is payable, you need to check with output VATs or input VATs only. Input VATs you can claim. Output VATs are the VATs that you need to pay. So examiner is asking what is the payable amount. So I need to look for the ones which are payables only, which means the sales only. Because expenses, can you see it? You can't see it. And you're using a flat rate scheme. So when you are having flat rate scheme, all the sales needs to be charged at a flat rate of 12% in this case. They have given the 12%. So the sales here is 30,000 plus 60,000, which is 90,000. That 90,000 into what? Into 12%. That's how much? 10,800. But the point here is what? If it is flat rate scheme, you don't want to bother about whether it is zero rated sales or standard rated sales. Take the total, take the flat. The payable amount only.
Then we should not input in output.
No, in this case, flat rates. Yeah, what do you say? In the flat rate schemes, you don't include the input because you can't claim anything there. You're going with a flat rate. Okay, so whatever the sales that you're making, you're going with a lower percentage than what you're supposed to pay. So there you are not going to claim any what? Input VATs. So what amount will be payable? No, the next question is that. What amount will be payable by Greenwich Limited if it does not use the flat rate? So if they are not using the flat rate, what is the amount? Yeah. So then you need to take, yes, you need to consider 7,000. Okay. Then you need to consider two things. What are the two things you need to consider? Input VAT and output VAT. Perfect. You need to consider your. Wait, this is not right. What do you say? These assets are giving so much of bothering. It's not getting. Okay, I'll tell you the figures. You need to calculate the output VAT. So output VAT means on zero rated sales, 0. 30% into 0 is 0. But standard rated sales, you need to take 20%, but they are saying that it is inclusive. So that inclusive, right? If it is exclusive, directly you can multiply 20%, isn't it? This is inclusive, so it needs to be 20 over 120, or you can also 20 over 120 is 1 over 6. So that's how much? 60,000, 1 over 6 means 10,000. 10,000. So 10,000 needs to be your output VAT. Unfortunately, I could not write it. Why is that? 12,000? 10,000. 60,000 divided by 6 is 10,000. 1 over 6, no? Inclusive. Why are you? 1 over 6 mama gatte 20 over 120 ne. So if you simplify it, 1 over 6 no.
Then 10,000.
So then now hold on. Then the standard rate expense එකක් තියෙනවා. That is exclusive. That is 24,000 into 20% directly. That's how much?
4,800.
Expenses means input VAT. Expenses means input. Sales means output. Okay. So in this case, the expenses is how much? 24,000 pounds. That into 20%, isn't it? Which one? The exempts. Exempt sales zero. Flat rate, you need to include it. Zero rate, you need to add all amount. So this will be how much then? Yeah, if you 10,000 minus, you said 4,000 something, 4,800. 10,000 minus 4,800 will be your answer. So 10,000 through sales. Normally, guys, they will ask for VAT question. VAT එකක් එනවා for section B. Mostly they will just a VAT question. Then
This is the last for this rates around. This is the last. Then they will change.
rates will be changed.
Others will remain unchanged.
Yeah. So gains. Your famous area, no? The areas that you love. You love this? Why? The area, we'll do a section C type question. Sure, we'll do all. Should assume the return. So I just want to see the calculation, how you need to show it. Okay, now only I understood the number of how they have been questioned. So this is each and every requirement. Part B, part C. Why is not coming? It's already there. Can't see. Okay, fine. I want to go to this part.
Section C.
Yeah. This is the paper I gave you yesterday, no?
So this one, maybe.
Yeah, the remaining. Let's go there and come back. Yes, there it's getting loaded.
section B, third sentence.
Oh my God. Don't we have the PDF versions of those questions? Pre-mock papers? No, only in the system. So, no? So we stopped at Christopher, isn't it? Okay. So you all tried this? What was the question? So in this question, it's also an IHT, inheritance tax related question. So what is the IHT transfer value made by Christopher on 1st of April 2024? Okay, so you need to calculate the how much that you have transferred on that day. Okay. Then, yeah. So let's see how to calculate this. So the same shareholding, there is a percentage they have given. Now see a similar question, it was there in your pre-mock paper as well. We just discussed it. Okay, but here it's little bit more inclusive of more terms, factors. Okay, so do you have an answer or do you want to try it quickly? Devin, can you try this part? Yeah, yesterday's. Okay, fine. What's the answers you got? 900,000. You, Devinka? No answer. Come on. No, you have to tell the answer because then we can identify where we would have gone wrong. Twenty-sixth one.
See, yesterday's paper.
Christopher.
Oh, this is the section B, the long response MCQ.
Yeah, but it's okay. Fine. If you haven't tried it, fine. But let's try. So, you got an answer? Or is anyone? You got an answer? Pawan, did you get an answer? Okay, fine. Now let's see. On 10th December 2020, Christopher was appointed as a director of an investment company, which is Custard Limited, and he acquired 3%. Why they are giving?
You should assume that
Yeah, they are telling that it's an adapted question. That's why they are saying. No, final they won't say. They will give you the correct. Okay. So of 3% of the shareholding company at a cost per share £10. Then on 5th of April, he acquired further 48%. So he's purchasing how much? Further 48% at a cost of 80 per share. Due to unexpected ill health, Christopher wished to reduce his involvement in the Custard Limited on 1st of April 2024. So he resigned his directorship and gave 49% of shareholding to his son Dexter. So the values of the share were as follows. So which is 51 to 75% means value is £120. 26 to 50% means value is £90. 1 to 25 means the value is £30. So they are asking us to determine what is the IST transfer value of shares which was made, isn't it? So in this question, first we need to understand what is before, isn't it? That's a method to do it. So before means before the transfer. I'm talking about before the transfer. What was your value of your shares? So you bought 3% plus 48%, which means technically 51%, isn't it? 51%, right? So how many shares that you are buying? What's the total number of shares? The total number of shares is 10,000. Okay. Of 10,000 shares, if you are buying 51%, so which means you have 5,100 shares, isn't it? The number of shares is 5,100. That falls between 51 to 75. So value per share is 120. 5,100 into 120 is how much? How much? 620,000. Then after, so you are acquiring you are giving 49%, which means you are left with only 2%. So 2% means of 10,000, 2% is how much? 200 shares at a price of 1 to 2% is 30. So that will be 6,000. Okay. So which means the difference between these two is going to be the transfer value. $606,000. Where did you go wrong? That's a total, no? Now you multiplied it. Simple mistake in vain. So that needs to be 600. Clear? Right. So now about the CGT, the chargeable gain transfers. So when it comes to the CGT, we'll go through the question. So the Christopher has been told by a friend that he ought to have waited until 6th of April 2024 to make the gift of the Custard Limited shares to Dexter, as this would have been beneficial for capital gain taxes (CGT). If Christopher has delayed the gift until 6th of April 2024, the values of the shares in Custard Limited have been the same as 1st of April 2024. Okay. So then the Christopher is considering the regular payments of 250 to the granddaughter each. Cool. Okay, fine. Did you all do this part? Did you all try this part?
Actually, the question was too many facts to me.
Too many?
Facts to me.
Okay, fine. Can you all work out the chargeable gain for this quickly or based on this information? Just try it yourself.
This question again showed me.
So, what's the proceeds? Because you need to find the capital gain tax. So, you need to know how much you have sold and what is your cost. Then, what is your gain? They're asking the gains. They're asking for the gains, right? They're asking what is Christopher gain on chargeable to CGT. No numbers. You didn't read the question well. That's what I'm waiting for. That. That's why I asked you all to. Mhm.
That is the only chart.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, Christopher has been told by a friend that he is waiting to make up the gift of the custard limited shares to Dexter, which would have been beneficial for capital gain tax. If Christopher had delayed the gift until 6th of April, the value of the shares would have been how much? So technically, Custard Limited has how many shares? 10,000 shares.
So they're asking the transfer of value, right? So we have to do that. So transfer of value, we reduce the numerator and calculate the tax and reduce the tax rate.
No. Here we are not asking the amount of estate that is going to be transferred. So here you are technically understanding the number of value of the shares that has been transferred. So you were having 51% before and now you are having 21%. So you have transferred how many percent? 49%. Okay. So now he is selling that 49%. Isn't it? You are selling that 49%, which means 4,900 shares. 49% because 10,000, right? 10,000, 49% is 4,900 shares. So if 4,900 shares, what is the percentage? 49%. So 51 to 70, sorry, 26 to 50, it's at 90. So you will be selling at 90. So 4,900 into 90 is how much? 600 and 4,900 into 90, no. 4 in 90 to 436. 50. 5 into 10, it should be 500,000. Can't be 600. 4,900 into 90. 441,000 pounds. So it is 441,000 pounds. So now you need to find, now this is the sales proceeds, no? This is what you are planning to sell. So you need to find the cost.
Yeah, and one question is that in the previous one, in the mock paper, can you remember, sir, that's it, 700,000, we calculated 150,000 and deducted the tax and received your earning you back.
That is the inheritance amount that is received by the estate. The amount of inheritance. This is in terms of shares. That is not shares. You got it? That is when you are transferring shares. Okay, in that question itself, we calculated the shares, no? How did we calculate the shares? The difference between before and after. And we took the difference. That's for the same thing. The transfer value you need to take in terms of shares. When it comes to shares, you need to take the before, what is the value, and after, what is the value. Okay? Confusing? Sorry. Okay. And now at least find me the cost of this 4,900 shares.
Checks. You know, for second question.
No. First find the cost. Find the cost.
Total shares of Christopher is 5,300, right?
Hmm. You need to find the cost of the shares for 4,900. There is a small working to be done. Because you are selling 4,900. You're asking me how am I getting 4,900? So you're selling? Because you, whatever we have transferred is what we are selling.
Between only we have sold, right? After 200 before.
Yeah, now, yeah, you had 51%, 22% is remaining with you, 49% you gave no. That 49 only they are selling. Okay, that 49% out of 10,000 is going to be 4,900 shares. So 4,900 shares, you are selling it. So I'm asking the cost of this 4,900. You want to try this question at home? But you're confused. Okay. So now, see in this instance, you are having 4,900 shares that you are selling at 90. So you got 441,000. Correct. So now this is your sales proceeds. You need to understand what is your cost, isn't it? So determine your cost. You need to work out certain things because the cost is split into certain areas. You need to find the number of shares and what is the cost of those number of shares. So initially, yeah, let's check. Okay, then I need to work out. So initially you bought 3% of the shares, isn't it? So 3% of the shares means out of 10,000, 3% is going to be 300 shares. So that costed you each 10. So which means it will be 3,000. After that you are buying how many percent? 48%. So 48 means 4,800 shares into a price of how much? 80 per share. That was given in the question. So I'm taking these figures. See, cost of 80. So that's how much? 300,000. That's what you took. So here you got 51%. You got it? So technically, if you total this, this is 5,100 shares. No? So what is the total of this 5,100? Is going to be 387. So of this, you are selling off how much? 4,900. So this 4,900, what is the value? So it is 200. What is the value? How you are getting 371? That's what I wanted to ask you. 371. Mhm. So you are telling that 387,000 is for 5,100. What is for 4,900? Is that what you are saying? Yeah. How much is that? 371. 371. 8. 371. 8. 824. Correct. That's how you need to find. Finally. So now, what is the balance you are having for 200?
3.5, right? So if you keep it 3.5, you won't last.
No, it is not wrong. Sometimes if it is not accepting, it won't allow you to punch. They will say, keep it to 1 decimal, keep it to 2 decimal. They will say it. If not, you need to keep it to the whole number. Okay.
15,176.
How much?
15,176. So that's the charge.
But that is
That's
not necessary for the moment. I need to take the cost of 4,900. So the cost of 4,900 shares is 371,824. The value of this 49% share is falling between 26 and 50%. So that is 90. That's the sales proceeds. So that price only they are selling it. They didn't give us sales value. No. So the same price only they are selling it for the, because market value is the selling price. Right? So how much is the gain? I hope this figure is correct. Okay. So 441 minus 371,824 is how much? 69,176. You got one answer? Yes. Fourth one. All right. Okay. Try to get this correct. The 28th one. So normally you all give answers to the calculations about the theoretical. You need to choose two answers. So let me say this is as 1, 2, 3. We off this one. It's hitting me directly because I'm already dehydrated. So I'm losing my energy. So they're asking us which two of the following statements about CGT advantages of Christophe delaying his gift until 6th of April 2024. So before we choose the answer, I yesterday shared the answer scheme. No? So they had a nice explanation there. Why? It was a good explanation. Can anyone send it to me again? Like send it in an email so I can open up it. Yeah. Okay, wait, I can't say it, no. So where I did send it to the expert groups. So let's read that a bit. It was a nice answer. Oh, because of this only we could not hear Salman. No? What's the question number? Yeah, 28. We got the answers? Yes. No, they have also used the same method. Right. Now see in this question 28. The payment, hold on, not sure about it here. So they're asking us which two of the following about statements about the CGT advantages of Christopher delaying his gift until 2024 is correct. Okay, so they're asking if we delay the advantages of the CGT. So this is important because it is not something, an answer that you can directly take it, not from the theory, but with some comparisons you need to take it. So that's why I wanted to read this answer. Was the question number 26, no? 7. 8. Now see, let's go through the answers first so we understand what sort of points it's there. So they're telling us he would have been able to set an annual exempt amount for both 23 and 24 and 24 and 25 against the chargeable gain. True. That is true. I would go with that answer. Do you go with that answer? Are you sure? No, sure.
Yes.
Why?
Because 2000,
Mm-hmm.
23, 24,
Mm-hmm.
we can gain for that.
Mm-hmm. That is your understanding.
It ended up with 5th of April 2024.
Okay.
With 6th of April. There's
extra relief also.
no any other gains in 24, 25.
But you are not focusing on the dates.
Which days?
Why 6th of April?
Mm-hmm.
Above, he would have been.
So we are getting another annual election.
Mm-hmm.
We can use that for the
The CGG we can't get for 2 years, right?
Here you need to CGT. Yes, you can't get it for 2 years.
So you 1 year, right?
Only 1 year annual exempt. Now you are confused with the IST and CGT there. You got it? Very good point. That's what I wanted there. So in that essence, can you choose the first one?
Okay, you said that we are ready to.
That's why I asked you to see the dates. So can you?
Yeah, HD 3000.
Hmm.
No,
we can get
twice.
2
Yeah, if we delay, also.
Okay, fine. Your understandings are correct.
CGT 20 months.
Hold on. That's the first, the confusion that we have. But we'll clear all those things gradually because we need to understand things. What's the second point? Payment of CGT liability would have been postponed for 12 months.
That's correct.
Of course, if you are the advantage CGT of what? The liability can be postponed for 12 months. That's okay, cool. Okay, because that is about your administration part. That seems to be correct. Seems to be. Let's see. Then he would have been chargeable for CGT at 10% instead of 20% on some taxable gains. That is relevant or irrelevant?
If it's like, we have to get the taxable income also. What is that?
He would have been entitled for a business asset disposal relief. That is also correct.
That's a condition.
Now, the way you are thinking to this question, yeah, the way, no, that's what I wanted to say. The way we are thinking for this question is different. They are asking which two of the following statements about CGT advantages of Christopher delaying his gift on 6th of April are correct. So, when he's making a gift, Christopher is considering making some regular of 250 to his granddaughter each month. Huh?
Not that one, right?
Yeah. Hold on.
Give to some before. Not that one.
Yes. So he's talking about, okay, let me rephrase it again. So Christopher has been told by a friend that he ought to have waited until 6th of April to make a gift of custard limited shares to Dexter. So he's giving the shares to Dexter. Then, as this would have been beneficial for capital gain tax, this would have been, they're telling that this would have been beneficial for capital gain tax if Christopher had delayed the gift until 6th of April. Got it? So they are telling that if Christopher had delayed the gift until 6th of April, he would be advantaged.
But the market is not same, right?
Same. So, but why he is getting the advantage? Now see, the first option we choose. Forget about the answers that they are giving. Let's make ourselves little understanding from this point. So they are telling that the payment date on the disposal on 1st of April, which is 23-24, is 31st January 2025. Okay. On disposal of 6th of April, that would be in January 2026. So, and then they are telling that the Christopher is a high rate taxpayer as his income is exceeding the basic rate band, and they have calculated that how much he is getting more than 50,270 because your proceeds is how much? Your CGT proceeds was how much? Around 60,000. Can you remember the gains? Right. And they are telling that in 24-25, his income is within that total. So some of the taxable gain would have, assuming.
Okay, who's that from?
That's what we are going to. No, how we are assuming.
Not predict.
Now we need to compare these two. Now it's about we are comparing which method would be the advantages. Now read the second part, then you will understand. Then they are telling that his income within the total, so some of the taxable gain would have been charged at 10% and some of them would have been charged at 20%. You got it? Because why 10 and 20%? If you are falling into the basic rate, you will be falling into certain amount will be charged at 10%, but certain things will be charged at 20%.
If it's all after 20%, we don't know what is happening.
No, just now it is IST or is it CGT is what we are going to compare. You got it? Are you going to compare this is between CGT or IST? I'm trying to learn the points from you. So the next point, they're telling that the Christopher would only have been able to set the annual exempt amount against the chargeable gains on 6th of April 2024 because it is not possible to carry forward any unused annual exempt amounts, of course, right? Unlike IST annual exemptions. So IST Now how you need to take here is you need to compare both IHT and CGT to come up to an answer. So as Devinka told us, an AEA, annual exempt amount, cannot be carried forward. However, the for IHT purposes, the annual allowance that you are getting, that can be carried forward, which is not here. Okay, so then they're telling that he would not have been entitled to business asset disposal relief because the custard is an investment in a company. So you're making an investment in a company. It is not qualifying for BADR. So, but before, now see, now you read the question and your answers. They're asking which two of the following statements about CGT should be advantageous to Christopher. Delaying his gift until 6th are correct. It is not qualifying for BADR because he's selling what? Shares. It's an investment in a company. It is not getting qualified. So it can be an advantage generally because he wouldn't have been entitled to a business as a disposal. That's one of the advantage for CGT, but that's not the way you need to think to get your answer. You get what I'm trying to say?
If that CGT is not there,
There.
this one also correct.
First one is also correct. That's what I wanted to say. So then he would have been able to get annual exempt amounts for both the years 23, 24 and 24, 25 against the chargeable gains. Both the years can he get? No, he can't. But the payment to the CGT would have been postponed by 12 months. That is okay. And he would have been charged 10% and 20% on taxable gains. That is correct. Because certain portions will be charged at 10%, certain portions will be charged at 20%. So they are also agreeing with us, right? So they are also saying those are the two things that you need to understand. Clear? Fine. Now, why did I explain that? Because in your exams also you can get a part like this. So the question will be talking about IHT, but they can give another tax portion. Sometimes they can give you an income tax point of view. Then they will ask you to check, look from an income tax perspective, how much you would have got. But from an IHT perspective, how much you would have got, which would be the best option. You got it? So that is kind of a comparison you need to do. Don't just blindly go to the advantages of each one. Comparative advantages only you need to check. Right.
They will check for individual, right?
Individuals. So which of the following IHT exemptions applies to the gifts
The
by
answer is the second one and
third one? Second and the third one. Yes. So next.
then here we have to forget about IHT and thinking CGT.
CGT and IHT together, not forgetting the IHT. So because it's like which is more beneficial. Which is more beneficial means one perspective's advantage will be the other perspective's disadvantage. So you need to look for the situation where CGT being more advantage. You got it? So which means where IHT is not providing that support. I mean, that is a strategy that you need to develop when you are reading the question to understand, to pick an answer. These questions you can't do calculations. At least you need to get the answers. So better ask them to ask only one option. Two option is the disaster. But at least one option, luckily she can mark and she can go right. Isn't it?
No,
So
sir, I selected what all of us selected. Technology, I just read it and only realized it's a difference.
now I'll say you something. It's not your fault because your mind is studying everything together. You got it? So that's why she got confused when I calculated the shares initially, the transfer value. Did you get confused there? No, you understood it. That's why you didn't ask the question. She got confused because the transferable value of the estate and the transferable value of shares, we had two different perspectives and calculations. I'll tell you something. Now, in the theoretical classes, we calculated the shares separately and estate separately, right? That's how it will come in the exams too. Separate. They won't mix both together. So obviously there will be a part of a share, kind of a share transfers, holdings. Then IST will be there. It's an easy part you can score. Then I want to do companies question. We'll do that pre-mock companies question. Both
That's section C.
section C. So we'll
You
do
didn't do section C at all.
PD.
No, this isn't the answer. Wait. Yeah.
No, I did section C the previous week, not this week. But today we'll do, after this we'll take a small break and we'll do the companies part because I want to explain that because it might be they can test that way.
So
I was going through that
that balancing.
balancing charge because they are taking it as a balancing charge. I'll tell you
I was gonna ask you that can be 100% super deduction. I don't
super deduction. That's the question I wanted to do. And they have calculated. See, you sent me that.
Yeah, then I'm super deduction.
We'll do the complete question. Okay, that company's tax profit because companies is also an easy part where you can score more marks. So we'll do that. Before that, we'll answer these two questions. Which of the following IST exemptions applies on the gifts made by Christopher to his grand?
But he makes some. The grand person keeps on making and regularly, right? So then can you apply small gift exemption?
You can't. He is only eligible for annual exempt amount for which year? 24, 25 or 23, 24. Prashant, did you understand that part? The 250 part that you can't regular. If it is being regular,
Only one we can take.
only one.
So one can't we take? No, that is.
They are asking
regularly.
Exactly. That's correct.
So like all of that we can't take.
Take regular.
Then that one normal expenditure out of it. That one also you can take, right?
No, you
Because
can't.
it's regularly means it's. No, it's not. It doesn't affect the living standard of grandfather.
Good. But in this, you don't want to consider the normal expenditure out of income as the expression. It's not a big point because it's 250. It's going to be every day. So it's going to be. It's not a normal expenditure. It's going to be a regular expenditure.
Small exemption we can't take.
Yeah.
But normal expenditure out of exemption that one. We have to say it's whether it's regular and it doesn't affect the living standard, the current income of him. So both of it satisfies, right?
Good. Read it. What you said was correct.
Normal expenditure out of income exemption cannot apply because Christopher only has an excess income of 20,000 minus 18,000, 2,000 income. 250 into 3,000.
So you said it is not affecting.
For this also they are calculating.
So with that only the answer is coming to that.
So 20,000 and 18,000 whether it's given.
Yeah. See. So sorry, not there. His expenses, his income. So his expenses and income. So you didn't read this part. You thought that that's extra information. Okay, fine. Now you understood why?
Then A, why only 1 year?
What you told was absolutely correct. So that way I also got realized your income is 20,000, expenses 80,000. So throughout the year you are giving 250. So 12 into 250 is going to be more than 3,000. It's around 3,000. Yeah, it's exactly 3,000.
Income
More than the income you're having. So normal expenditure out of income exemption won't be allowed because he's not having sufficient funds.
23, 24 A.
23, 24.
Whether they have given, he has
That
used it.
he would have used it to the others.
They have given.
That will calculate. They have given. So we'll calculate the next one and then you will talk through everything. We'll read the next question and go to the top. What is the amount of leash unused nil rate band for Christopher's personal representatives claim to reduce IST on his death? So now you need to calculate the unused nil rate band. So what is the allowance of the nil rate band?
25,000.
But they say 312, right?
Wait. So Christopher was married to Lee for many years. So Lee died on 2009. Then in her will, she left the estate of 250,000 to Christopher. So how much she is leaving? She is leaving 250,000. Then IST nil rate ban for this year is 312,000. How much is that? 312,000. So Lee had a potential exempt transfer after all exemptions is 20,000. So that is on 2005. Assume the tax rates and allowances for 23, 24 applies in future years. So to determine this, so you need to understand what is the total unused nil rate band available for you. So you had 312,000. Of that, you are using 20,000 to your PET. Okay. And then you need to get what is 312 on this and multiply by the existing nil rate band, that is 325. So this would be realizing you how much of unused nil rate band that you have as of date. How much is that? 13,000.
304,000.
300.
4,166.
You got 13,000?
Here the
I
right
took like
here.
this 325,000.
You, but that is Bodmer's rule brackets of. So first, okay, you do this 3,112 minus 20,000
292.
minus 3, so divide by 312.
Which is used. So 292,000
Mm-hmm.
divided by. So I got 292,000 divided by 312.
Okay, you got 292,000. So if you are getting to, okay, 292,000.
Yeah. Divided by 312,000 into 100. So we can get the use percentage now.
Okay, that is correct. Go ahead.
94 is used.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then unused 6%.
Unused?
6% from 100%.
Okay, so that you are not subjecting it to the increased nil rate ban.
Yeah, then like 6%.
That's too long, no?
From this.
No, see, that's too long for you to determine when you have the equation in this way. So you know that anyways you need to see the nil rate bands increase. So now the nil rate band is increasing to 325,000. So it was 312 up to that point, but now it is increasing to 325. So which means of 312 you have utilized this. Then that divided by this will be the percentage. Along with the increase, you will get the total. So that's easy way to do it.
But anyway, same answer should come.
Should come, but the nil rate band that you're taking is in how much you took for that? 292 plus?
For previous one, I took 292 divided by 312 into 100. So we can get the used, right? After 312, they have used 93.5, which means 94%.
You have 94% unused.
Used.
No, 20,000 only they have used. 20,000 only they have used.
96%.
Unused.
300.
Why you're dividing some? I can't.
To get the percent, it's a easy calculation.
Isn't
You can, but you are not including that the nil rate band, the increase in the nil rate band.
Yeah, they are saying the nil rate band is 312.
Okay, fine. For an example, now this is what you all have done now, 312.
Okay, now
Of now this 20,000 is how much percentage?
oh no, I didn't divide it. So now I just need 312,000 minus 20,000.
Okay, 312 minus 20. How much you have used?
292,000.
292,000. Okay. Yeah.
96,000 unused.
Okay, will come.
325.
So then you are saying that 292 is unused,
Yeah.
and now 325 there is an increase of 312. No, so difference is what?
13,000.
13,000. So you added that.
No, sorry.
So then also your answer is getting knocked.
So 96,000 unused. So I apply that in this current nil rate plan. So
325 into 96.
312.
So 312.
Yeah. Guys, 312.
No. The way we calculated is 300. Now see, now the point is what I'm trying to do there is now it is 312,000.
Yeah, but you
Of that 312,000, you need to take the average normally. So I'm saying that 312 was the previous nil rate band. Of that, I'm utilizing 20%. So that is 292. No?
Yeah.
This 292 is what is the percentage of 312. You got it? That multiplying by the 325. Then only you will get the latest percentage. No? Because latest percentage is 2024 is 325. Now let's assume if it is 312 at all, what should be the answer? 292. That should be the answer. No? This is not 2000. That is happening in 2009. Oh, 8 period. I can't exactly recall it. 8 or 9 period. But now we are in 2024. Now the nil rate band has been increased. So now what I'm trying to do is this 292 divided by 312 is the percentage. No? You got it? So unused. So now the total percentage needs to be 325. So for this is the gross amount. For this, what is the amount that we have at the moment? It is not 3. Now it is 292 when it was 312. Then what is? It will be 304 when it's 325. In terms of the percentage. So, okay, take 292 divided by 12, 312. What's the percentage? Take it 292.
Yeah, this one okay, but my approach, I said other questions I applied. It came.
That is because there was not a change in the transfer. No? The value change of the nil rate band.
Same.
That is the same nil rate band. No? So you didn't calculate it for the increase. So now see 292 divided by 3112, you'll get a percentage. Multiply that by, sorry,
Yeah,
what's the percentage?
96%.
96%. 325 is 96% is all.
312. That's
312.
how. That's how. I
That's
get, but
that's when you take it directly. Now you are not 312. You have not utilized that 4%. That is not the 96%. You are getting the 96% when it was 312. But now 312 is not 100%. 325 is the 100%. This is the mathematical.
then I go with this.
This is easy because otherwise, if you go there, you have to do the other method also, add then jump.
For this one, we have to get the unused
Yeah.
from this and divide by
That
your
amount.
current name.
Exactly. Fine. Ah. Okay, so let's take a break and we'll come back and do those section C question.
So the one I sent you said just all the stuff. 100%, sorry, 130% super reduction.
Okay. So that's the question we are going to do. We'll come and do that question. That is in the pre-mock paper.
Yeah.
The past paper is also there, pre-mock is also there given, no? We'll do the pre-mock one because pre-mock one is little better.
In the 130% in the pre-mock.
You sent in the pre-mock, no? The super deduction? It was there.
pre-mark year of ACCA or
Maybe 2024 pre-mark.
We'll see.
I'm not sure, but is that ACCA? Yeah, that's right.
Are you also got the
Anyway,
same?
anyways,
Maybe that's
we'll do that because I need to answer this problem. So I need to work it. We'll work it out together. Because there is an understanding from 2023 April the batch charges Manala. So in this year you have to consider it as not as an allowance and charge. We'll see.
clear. In this question, how do you know that you plus 2324 AE? Which one is this option?
I mean, you go with the latest, so I think that's why. Is it possible?
Yeah. Choose the both one.
No, if you can, I don't think you can choose.
Yeah, made it option also. So it's going to make a difference. On 2324 is the current year one. You can have used this.
No, yeah, use that because that's the latest one, right? The latest.
Even if it's maybe not if it's before it's unused, we can use no.
Yeah, what's the order? Previous.
Current one we have to first use.
Then
Since
go back to the
yeah, here they ask two options. We can't choose because they have given a PPIM. Here they have made a potential instant transfer. Going catch me. No, we do it. Yeah,
Yeah. So, now I am going to do this. My face starts.
Indian something.
Yeah, to get food.
You're going to.
You want anything?
Sorry?
You want anything? Sure. You look so tired. You want to go to India?
No, I didn't.
Church. Sunday mass.
No, Christian. You were
Hindu.
yeah.
You want to? You want to?
Like 11 o'clock mass. Then I directly came here. English mass. And walk up and 8 o'clock. So I missed the Tamil mass. How did you get out?
Yeah, I will be to come back. The
Come back. Maybe. വന്നിട്ട് നിലാവേ
Second.
എന്നെ കമ്മ You're not there. My single worship.
Isayama.
For sure.
So I had some questions.
Mm-hmm. What's the question number?
So the one I said,
Okay, we'll see that.
really September, December.
Mm-hmm. You all did this question? Vector. The next question.
No, not that paper.
This paper. No, I want to do this company's tax part in this question. I just want to check
Okay.
because they are only that super things and things like that will come.
Operation tax.
Yeah. What's the question number? So there we can cover a certain fair amount of company's accounts part. All right, this is the one. Okay, so in this question, so they are asking us to calculate the Orient's Corporation Limited tax liability, corporation tax liability as of 31st March 2024. Okay, so and then they are telling us your computation should commence with operating figure 25,900, indicating by zero any items referred in the notes 1 to 3 which do not require an adjustment. Okay, a similar question only will also receive to the exam. 38, I'm on to the last part. Okay, so you should only clearly show established the rate of corporation tax to the use. So in this question, the first thing that they're asking us to start it from operating profit. So let me connect this.
Yeah.
Sure, can you come from? Now, normally when it comes to this company's accounts, they used to test some lease costs. And okay, let's go through each and every one. This I could not type here. I could not connect it.
Is this one?
Okay, let's start answering to this part. So in this question, they are asking us to clearly state, okay, starting from the operating profit. So in this case, the operating profit. So how much is the operating profit? So you are getting operating profit of 25,900. Okay. So which means, and then they're asking us to go with each and every adjustments from 1 to 3. Okay. So wherever it is not applicable, you need to give it as a 0. So Orion has an accounting reference date on 31st March and 90% subsidiary Cyrus Limited. So there's a subsidiary too. The following information is available for the year ended 31st March 2024. And their operating profit, they're talking about the operating profits. So Orion's Limited's operating profit for the year ended 31st March 2024 is 25,900. This figure is after deducting the depreciation of 17,160. So depreciation needs to be added back because why? Depreciation will be accumulating capital allowances. So that's the reason why you are taking it back. So depreciation of how much? 17,160. So for this adjustment, you'll get a mark. Then that's about the first thing. and they are talking about the lease cost. The following payments made um, by Orion Limited during the year ended 31st March have been deducting in arriving at the operating profit above. So they have already deducted that. The lease of the photocopier. Okay, so the lease of the photocopier. And they are talking about the lease of the car for director and the premium paid to acquire a leasehold office, and they have given a note. So the premium was paid on 1st of July to acquire a leasehold building on a 5-year lease. The office has been used in the Orion Limited's trade since acquisition. Okay, so since acquisition they had been used. So now how we are going to determine when it comes to the lease of the photocopier, is it an allowable expense?
Yes.
Why? It is an allowable expense because it is for the use of business purposes that will reduce our, that will not be charged to our taxable profits. So if it is not being charged means you need to show it as nil. However, the lease car for the director, now this is a company
So why is lease photocopy in here?
because it's a business usage, no? The photocopier that you're using for, so it is exempted in terms of determining the taxable profits. Okay, for companies, allowable expenses, those are allowable expenses. But lease for card of the director, is it allowable? Only certain amount is allowable, isn't it? So how much you are paying? 1,860. So lease for the car for the director, so 1,860 into, now it is emitting carbon of how much? 63 grams per kilometer. So which means we need to get the help of our tax tables, isn't it? So the tax table tells you when it comes to car benefit,
16%, right?
51.
Oh, I think you'll do 63 minus 50, no, 60 minus 55.
Yes, exactly, because it is more than 55 grams. Okay, so just give me a moment.
But here can't we just take 15% of 1,860?
That's what we need to directly take. 15% is the one you need to take. Why you are supposed to take 15% directly? Tell me the reason why you are taking 15%. Yes.
Only 15% because only 85% is
Only
85% is allowable, 15% is allowable.
15% is allowable. Yes, that is the answer. Only now this car is used by the director. On that, allowable expense is going to be 15%. But when it comes to an individual tax, 80, yeah, the 15% we need to take,
Yeah,
which is disallowable. Add back.
So allowable is 8%, disallowable is 50%.
Disallowable is 15%. However, when it comes to income tax, it's a different strategy because you need to differentiate between your private usage and the business usage.
Here we don't need to take that 63 grams and all.
Here you don't want to take that grams. That's what I want to say. So you need to take what? 15% is the disallowable expense in this scenario. So in of this 18160, if you calculate 15%, so that's how much?
279.
Okay. $279. Okay, fine, happy. However, there is the lease premium. So when it comes to a lease premium, what they are saying, so you are having the leasehold office for how much? 45,000. So this will not attract, this is not an allowable expense. This is an disallowable expense. However, when it comes to lease premium, first you can add it, and then you can determine what are the adjustments. Every year they are asking us for a lease premium adjustments, right? So in this case, the lease premium, when it comes to the question, the premium was paid on 1st of July to acquire a leasehold property for the 5 years lease. So the office has been used since the trade acquisition. So now there is a portion that is allowable for us. There is a portion to calculate the allowable expenses on lease premium. So what is the allowable expenses on the lease premium? So I would say, so
Instead of taking the net, we have to do this separate.
yeah, this is how you need to show it. So then only you'll get the score. Okay, because you need to disallowable expenses, you need to add back, no? So you need to show it and then show the adjustments and the allowable part. So lease premium, I would say allowable.
Instead of writing the whole, just allow it back, we can do it.
Yeah. So I would prefer to understand this is a premium allowable for the moment. So that is, so that is 45,000 into how much? 45,000, that's the equation, into the total number of months.
5 years.
So 5 years means how many months?
4 years. We have to take
5 years means you need to take 4. So
5 minus 1.
or else you can do this. What you can do, there are 2 to 3 ways to do this. The one way of doing it is you take the lease 45,000, of that you take 2%, isn't it? So one method is what? I'm taking 2% of it. You take 2%, that will be deducted from the total 45,000. You got it? So you take 45,000 2% into number of years. So number of years will be how much? You taking this lease for 5 years minus, you need to deduct by 1 year, so that will be 4. So that's how much? So 45,000 2% minus 5
3,600.
3,600. So that will be how much? 3,600. However, can you take entire 3,600? Can you take entire 3,600? Why you can't take the entire 3,600? Now this is for, no. So this is a part of calculation, that 2% that you need to take. So the tax on the landlord, you need to calculate it. So the tax on the landlord is how much? I'm just explaining you the tax on the landlord. So the tax on the landlord will be, so you had 45,000. Okay, of that the allowable part is 3,600. So which means it will be 41,400. So 41,400 is the amount of tax that you need to that will be taxed on the landlord. However, to your adjustment, you need to take what is the amount which is relevant to the period, but you are using this leasehold office building from 1st of July. So from 1st of July to to April, how many months? 9 months. So you need to also remember this. You need to prorate this. You need to prorate this figure. So to prorate this figure, what you need to do? You need to determine, okay, 45,000 minus 41,400 is how much? Is the difference of 3,600. Or else you can directly take it. Another way of doing it is you take the premium. You take the premium and multiply it by yeah.
So I took 45,000
Mhm.
and we have a 2% into 4 because 5 minus 1.
Yeah, 4.
That is 3,600. Then I divided by 5 because to find per year. And then that I divided by number of months square. And that I multiplied it by 9 months because we took it only on July.
Okay, so how much you got it?
540.
No, it can't be 540, you know. How much?
6,200.
How did you get 6,200?
41,400 divided by 5
Yes,
divided by 12.
because that is the amount which needs to be taxed. 41,400. This needs to be divided by, yes, correct. So Devinka, you note this point. So you take this point, not from 3,600 you need to take. Because 3,000 is allowable for you. I mean 2% you need to take it away. So from that you need to take 41,400. Yeah, 41,400 is for how many years? 41,400 is for 5 years. Then yeah, that is the capital element. So which means that will be 8,800 and sorry 8,280. This is for how many months? 12 months. So I would say this is annual, isn't it? So but you can't, can you take this annual? No. So I need to take the prorated figure. So the prorated figure is for 9 months. I need to take for 9 months. So 9 months will be, so this 8,260, sorry, 8,280, no? 8,280 divided by 12. Then multiply by
Photocopy means photocopy machine.
machine. Yeah. 6,210. This is the figure that you need to take to your calculation. So that will be 6,000.
Minus.
It will be an allowable expense. It needs to be deducted. Very good. 6,210 is what you need to take. So that will be reducing your profits, because what I'm trying to do is, now this 45,000 is already included in this calculation. So I'm removing the capital element. Yes, you remove the capital element of 2%. Once you remove the capital element, you know what is the amount of tax that you need to pay on the landlord. So that is 41,400. So of that 41,400 for 5 years, per year it will be 8,200. Then here, why am I taking for 9 months? Because you are utilizing it on from 1st of July 2023. Okay.
Sometimes they take to like here we calculate the income element.
Mm-hmm.
They sometimes, I don't know how the question is worded, but sometimes they take straight away the income element and divide it by the number of years they find. So how do
You take the income element and then divide it by the number of years.
yeah, find per year.
Mhm.
So, but then how do you know if you have divided, if it's the income element or capital element is going to, it's an income or like.
So in this case, they are giving us the total value of the building, and they are telling that this is the premium when you are purchasing. So technically, when you are purchasing and when you are acquiring a building, the first you need to remove the capital element of 2%. Okay. Once you remove that, the entire amount is what you are going to be charged for allowable purposes over the number of periods that you can use. So that can be directly taken into that factor. Okay. So the other context of the things, they would ask you the capital element either, or how much is the allowable expenses for the period, entire period, not for a year. So here we need to take it for a year because we are preparing it for 1 year. So that's where you would have got the total answer to that perspective, because the requirement of the question would have been how much needs to be allowed in total. So that referring to the total figure. Here we are talking about the for the particular period. Okay. And here they have given the dates also from 1st of July, technically. Fine. So then the second one.
So calendar, it's allowed that, right?
Yeah. So where's my answer? I lost my answer. What happened?
We don't experience this.
No, the exam it won't be there. Oh my god. They will give you, they will refund you.
It's reasonable. I mean, we have to be okay.
Yo, you tell that I actually you can appeal, but they won't mind it.
They may set like the generator.
Now where is my answer?
So do they have a generator or something? Because like I might.
Yeah, inverters. Yeah, it's very hard, no, this practice. Yeah, practice platform. See, I had to do it from first now.
Then how?
It's there. Oh, finally. It's there, it's saved. So,
If it's practice platform, it won't have that disappearance.
luckily it didn't disappear. Fine. So now we need to go to the, now we are done with the second, no? So then we have to go with the third one. Only the third one, the following expenses also have been deducted in arriving the operating figure. So gift of calendars, allowable or disallowable?
They have used for business. How do you know that?
In all those expenses for businesses, no? See, the following payments are not limited during the year ended, arriving at the operating rate, lease for the photocopier, and the premium household. So photocopier, the lease that you're taking, that is exempted. Then, okay, the next thing. Now this got disconnected. Wow.
So do they actually have a generator? So because at my days there was a 5-hour power cut.
5 hour? 5 hour power cut किया हमने.
So they have like a generator because my exam is in Devala. That's like two throughput and come on.
No, no worries. There is anything that they will let you know in advance. Unless it's an emergency.
Can you only
Oh, Charlie. Okay, so gift. I can't write it again. Shit. I hate this. Let's make all the stuff. Need to. Okay, shall I write the stuffs in the normal notepad? Okay, because otherwise I'm wasting time. Okay, so just tell me the figures we got. Operating. So we got an operating profit. So you got to the 25, no, something, 25,900. 259? No, 25,900. 25,900. Then I took depreciation. Don't scare me. So depreciation I took 17,160. You need to add back. Then the lease photocopy, that is new. Then lease, there was second item was car. So that I did a calculation 1860, right? Into 85% is allowable, 15% is disallowable. So 15% of that is how much? 279. I remember the question. Then lease.
Why did we deduct that
Hmm?
1,860? We should deduct. Then we
No, of 1,860, you need to take the 15% on it. Lease premium you need to show because that's the capital item, it's not a operating item.
this like the next question 45,000 we had taken and then we deduct.
Mhm. Now this is the lease car expense for the direct. It's just an expense. That is the lease for the company. That's why we need to show it separately. No, even though you show it that way, it's not an issue.
Then deduct.
Added. But especially for lease for premium buildings, these premium ones, you need to show that adjustment. Since you are showing the adjustment only, you are going to do that. The 2% capital element. So here you are not calculating the capital element. No? So the next one is the lease premium. So lease premium was how much? 45,000. And then we did that adjustment, no? The capital element. So that was how much you got for 9 months. I'll directly take it for 9 months. For the 9 months lease, it was 6,000 something. How much?
6,210.
6,210, a negative. Fine. So now we had gift of calendars bearing office name. So that is allowable. So that is going to be nil. Entertaining of overseas supplies. So this entertaining of overseas supplies is not allowable. Donation, that is allowable.
So don't you edit and deduct from the bottom?
No, you don't want to necessarily do that. It's not wrong, but you have just wasting your time. Answer scripts of perfect, but doing this way is not harm. Not harm. Okay, fine. So then these are the things that we are calculating for this thing. So then you have your capital allowances. So capital allowances we need to do separate workings, no? So you have your capital allowance. I'll do a working. So for capital allowance, this company's capital allowance, okay? Say working one for capital allowance for companies. Okay. So what are the things we have? Plant and machinery, you have tax written down value on 1st of April 2023 to the main pool. So to the main pool, how much you're having? So to the main pool, you are having 18,600, isn't it? And you have the special rate pool. So I have the main pool and I have the special rate pool, and you need to get your allowances. So you have your main rate pool, you have special rate pool, and you have your allowances. So in this instance, so what is your tax written down value brought forward? This is 18,600 and 85,200. So on 1st of December, Orion, 1st of December 2023, Orion Limited purchased a car for 33,000. The car has carbon emission of 55 grams per kilometer, and 15% mileage will be personal use by the sales of director. So when it comes to car is not having any FYA or any AIA or any other allowances. So car needs to be fully charged, isn't it? So I would say car that will be fully charged at special rate pool. Car is not going to the main pool. No?
It's just a
Yeah, anyways, the car is not taking under any main, it's not main or special, but you can keep it under main.
main for them to pay special.
Not for car. Car is exempted for that. No? You know that's in, you are complexing with income tax part and the companies part. This is for companies. Companies record it under special rate. There you can split it, because there you are splitting it because there's a private usage of the car. Here this private usage of car, then why didn't you split? They say 15% of this is used for personal purpose. Different column for that. You got it? So private usage by this amount, you will have a different column. So then they have no any new assets added, no? Apart from car. But the company is selling off on 1st of February 2024 for 35,000. The original cost of this was 50,000, on which 130% super deduction claim was taken. So if you are taking the super deduction claim, okay, the whatever the amount that you are selling for, what you need to decide is whatever the amount that you are selling. So whatever the amount that you are selling, which is for super deduction, you need to consider it as a balancing charge, because you have claimed 130% deduction. So in that instance, there's no main rate pool, there's no special rate pool, but you are claiming an allowance of 35,000. That needs to be a negative. The balancing charge needs to be a balancing charge. So that is what you need to do, Roshani. This is all you need to do if they are asking this calculation at your level. It will be a negative. You don't want to compare anything, because when you compare the original cost and this thing, the proceed is low anyways. So you are claiming that 130% deduction was claimed. So it will be always be charged as a allowance. Sorry, not allowance. They'll be always charged as a charge. So that's why your allowances are reduced. Okay, that's all you need to do as an adjustment. Main whatever the deduction super claims come, you need to charge it as a balancing charge on all the property, plant and equipment. It's going to come on property, plant and equipment, right? So now you have 18,600, and you have how much you? 118,200. So this 18,600 you will charge WDA of 18%. So that will be how much? 3,348. So that is the allowance, 3,348. And for this 6%, so main rate pool, sorry, special rate pool 6%. 1,160. 118,200 into 6%. 7,092. So what is the total capital allowances? Because there is a balancing charge. The balancing charge is higher. So here you are getting a capital. Sorry, that 7,000 is not minus. It should be minus. Right. So now how much we're getting? 35,000 minus plus this. 24,560. Is 24,560 a negative figure? Normally we used to get what? Positive figure. So when you get positive figures, what you do? You come and deduct it. But this case, can you deduct it? You need to add it. How much? 24,000. How much? 24,000? 560. So then you are having a new factory. Okay. So when you have the new factory, Orion purchased a newly constructed factory for 650, including a land of 120,000. The factory was brought into the use on 1st of August 2023. So land, we don't have that luxury of getting the allowances of what is the amount? 700. 3%. We are not getting the luxury of SBA. So what is SBA? Yeah. So your total building, the new factory is 650,000. Of this 650,000, I'll do in thousands. 120,000 is for land. You need to remove it. Of this 120, after removing it, you need to take 3%. But you're taking the factory, you're bringing back it to use from 1st of August. So from the date of use only you need to take. So from 1st of August.
8 months.
How much? August, September, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months. So which will be 8 over 12. How much is that? 10,000? Better to show it. Even if you click the cell, it's fine to find it. But better to show it and you get the final answer there. So what you can do is show here, copy that answer, type the equal sign, put the copy and paste it. You'll get the answer automatic when you enter it. You got it?
Now we do this and we calculate corporate slab area, right? And your total taxable profit is wrong because you made a error down the line, right?
Final answer, you won't get total taxable profit. There is nothing. The adjustments that you are making. So in this case, so let me tell you the mark how they will allocate for this. Okay. So this operating profit, you won't get anything because they have given to you. But for this depreciation, they'll give you half a mark. Half a mark generally. Then for this 0, they'll give a half a mark. This 279, that they will give 1 mark because you did a calculation. This 45,000, you'll get a half a mark. For this 9 months that you are doing adjustments and things like that, that you will score a mark. And to the other things, gift, you'll get another half a mark. Entertaining, another half a mark. You got it? So donations, you get another half a mark. Capital allowances, we will score around for getting the right figure, half a mark. But for all the other things that you have mentioned, the way things that you have calculated here, so that will be considering they might give you in total of 1, 2, this is half. Now this you will get 1 mark first of all. So technically there will be 2.5, 3 marks for capital allowance alone. You got it? So that's how they will distribute marks. To each and every adjustments you do, they'll give you mark. Okay. I mean, even the workings for capital allowances, you do the workings, right? For that also you'll be scoring marks. That's how they will get you.
So now we calculate the student tax. So the question says calculate the corporation tax liability, right? So we calculate the corporation tax liability on the total taxable profit, right? So if the total taxable profit is wrong, will they cut marks for the corporation tax liability?
The method that you have processed, you'll get a half. You got it? So yeah, how much is that? When you adjust all these things, you didn't get an answer. 96,000. Dividends, we are not taking into these calculations, right? Dividends you need to take for what? When you are calculating the corporation tax liabilities and when you are taking the for what? Augmented profits. Exactly. To determine your augmented profits. In this case, you need to determine your augmented profit. So this is how much? 96,000. Everyone gets 96,700. So that is 96,700. Then do you have dividends received? So dividends received from Cyrus Limited, note 1. Yeah. So to calculate corporation tax only, I'm determining the dividends, which dividends we can take. Orion Limited has 90% of the shares at Cyrus Limited. Can you take it?
Yes, we can take Uriah, we can take
Other dividends you can. Cyrus you can. Subsidiary. Cyrus you can't. Why you can't? And why you can? Roshani, why you can't take it? The Cyrus. Because it's subsidiary, so you can't take it. So when it comes to group dividends, and that's why they are giving a note there. So when it comes to dividends, once Orion Limited received the dividends from the following during 31st March, not have been calculated. Why they are giving the Cyrus dividend there? For you to show, for you to understand your maximum limit and your lower limit will be prorated by 2. So the subsidiary's profit you can't, dividends you can't take it. So that is why they are giving that. Other dividends you need to take it to your augmented profits calculation. Did you understand that? So when you're, yeah.
subsidiary.
Hmm.
So given that 90% they have given on the top cost, right?
Yeah. So anyways, they are noting it down. So examiner loves you, even if sometimes you might forget from the top. So now the anyways, what is the equation? No worries, equation will be there in the tax table. So you go to the tax table, you go here,
So that table will give the penalties.
no penalties they won't give.
So
At this back penalties and all, they're giving the percentage, but the other administration part penalties they won't. So this is what you need to understand: corporation tax. So upper limit, lower limit, they have given 50 and 250, right? So in this case, upper limit and the lower limit will be how much? Will be prorated by 2. Why it needs to be prorated by 2? Because there is a subsidiary relationship. So the upper limit, I will say a restriction is applied. So the restriction to your upper limit from 250, it is you need to consider 125. Then the lower limit from 50, you need to consider 25. So now you need to take your marginal relief, isn't it? So your marginal relief is what? From 125, you need to deduct what? Augmented profit. So your augmented profit is going to be, I'll say here your augmented profit. So your augmented profit needs to be 96 plus, what's the dividend? 5,000. Is how much? 101.79. So that will be 101,700. So then to the standard fraction, that is 3 over 200 into 96,700 divided by the augmented profit 101,700 is what? 300 348. So what you can do is you calculate the 25% from this, from total taxable profit. This would be the easiest way. Calculate the 25% on this. Okay, so that is the amount that needs to be taxed. No? From that deduct this 348. That's why we are taking the margin relief. No? Yeah. So we are taking the margin relief to this question, and the final answer will be whatever you are adjusting. So take 96,700 25%. So that is how much? Minus 348 is your answer. $332. Okay, whatever. Anyways, you are getting 300 odd answer. No? That's all you need to do. Okay. Things. SBA you need to deduct. That's the 3% is your allowable expenses. That's 10,600. You need to deduct. Okay. Since my fasting prayers are getting closer, I need to leave a bit. Okay. Can you all also? I'll join tomorrow an online session. I'm not there in Colombo. So can you join tomorrow at 3 o'clock? Again, I have few questions to discuss with you. We'll discuss that as well tomorrow. And Devinka, you had another question to discuss, no? Can you send me the questions from where? That okay. Any email? Okay, fine. I'll find it. Can we tell the resource? Then I'll get it from. I can share it from here.
Since 2024-25 September December.
Drop a message. 2020-25 from this study kit, no? Study kit. Sorry, ACCA resources. Okay, fine. So now I'll tell you something. Mostly a lease calculations will be coming when you're doing companies. A lease part will come. Capital allowance part will come. Then some expenses they will give which to determine allowable and disallowable. So which means in this case they gave depreciation, if for calendars and such like. And then you need to determine if there are any building rents or things if they are giving calculated. Look for any capital gain taxes from company's perspective. But when it comes to company's perspective, you ignore the private usage. You got it? You don't calculate the private usage. But if it is the taxing from the income tax perspective, the private usage needs to be calculated separately. So then you need to understand what assets will be qualifying for W written down value. Okay. So to qualify for that written down value, first you need to understand there are three types of allowances. So first year allowance, if there is a new asset, then annual allowance. For annual allowance, we had a limit. So you don't want to memorize those limits, but still you need to know the structure. How does it works? Okay. Then try to understand how the capital allowances questions are working in companies as well as individuals. I'm trying to say the areas that you can confuse. Then losses. How losses are treated in companies and how losses are treated for individuals. Because that's two different things. Employment income. Make sure you know that part as well, because it can be questioned. The employment income part, specifically in terms of they can mix you with some occupational pensions contributions and personal pension contributions along with NICs. Then you the administration part. When are you supposed to pay taxes? Now yesterday, can you remember we did a question? Class 4 NIC and income tax. Or so yeah, class 4 NIC you need to pay as of it, the date. Income tax and the class 2 thing that you need to take it on the balance of payment. Now there is a situation where you need to pay in installments upfront. You just
Income tax and class 4
yeah, income tax
and class 4.
and class 4. Then that part is important. You need to determine all those things. So know all these principles. When you go to the exam, when you see the question, try to answer at your best. Don't waste your time. I would always advise for you to start from section C, because that 40 marks is marked by the examiner. The examiner itself. So you are losing if your suggestions are correct. Still you will score. No? But in the other parts, if you can't suggest them, you need to be 100% correct. So first try to finish the section C. Then move to section B. If you feel section B is too hard, then move to section A. That would be fine. But so what happens is, students, as soon as you see the question starting in the screen from 1, you start answering from question 1, the first 15. No harm. Anyways, you are given only 3 hours. But I'm talking about the mindset. The mindset will be fresh more at the beginning than the later. Later you will be confused with because you might have missed or flagged certain things. If you are in doubt, just flag it and go to the other one. Try to answer 100% as much as possible. That's what I'm saying, that section A and B part, at least you will have a chance of making some choices by guesses at the last 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes, if there are 10 questions, you can't do no. Out of 10, getting 1 is better rather than answering 2 and getting nothing. You got what I'm trying to say? Because this is a computer based, it will lock your screen. You won't be able to answer whether you like it or not. It will lock your screen. So those are the practical aspect of it. From my stand, okay, go ahead.
You have to save it and automatically
Everything answers will be automatically saved. Everything.
even though like you're typing in a time is like on the dot, when the time clocks out, your stuff gets saved.
Yeah, it will save and it will send to the examiner's home. No, it will save. Automatically it will be saved. Now, you guys all are sitting in the same examination room? No.
Yes,
They hear.
Yes.
yes, we go the same.
Timing is also same.
Yes. Next,
You will get the numbers, no seating numbers.
not now, right? On that.
On that day they will give. It's okay, even though you get the numbers, no point. Because whatever the question you get, she won't get. That's the
So
thing.
it depends on the.
Yeah. So give your best. Sometimes after seeing certain questions, you might not understand. But when you read along, you will understand. But when it comes to tax, they are not going. Whatever you see here will be there. So you don't want to panic yourself too much. No answer to your knowledge. You'll get through that. Okay. So don't target 50. 50 target around Nepal. If you're targeting 50, you'll end up around 38, 40. Minimum target. Okay, I'm not targeting the maximum. Minimum target 70. Then you'll end up around early 50s. Maximum target 95. So you'll end up, yeah. World price, it's your life. You got it. World price target and it's your luck. Because how world price comes is now with another super allowance most of the students will ignore it. Okay, so I just read through the article. What they're trying to do is give it as a balancing charge, because it has been already given the allowances. They have claimed the allowances. If it is still sold in this year, so 35, if you are selling the property for 50,000 or 35,000, I think. 35,000, but it costed you 50,000. But still you are taking it as a balancing charge because you get 130% claim. Even if it is 50% claim, you need to take it the 50% of the balancing charge there. Did you understand that? That's all you need to do. Don't confuse too much. Rest a bit with certain restrictions. I mean, certain things, and then compile your answers. Yes, Devika.
So this is regarding corporation tax liability. So example, if a person is given like 100 and per person, like take that person out on staff to be 160 pounds, is it allowed?
Staff expenses will be allowed.
But it's 160 pounds right, per person. But according to income tax, it's 150 per person. So it's the same thing, or how do they?
Income tax, that is per 150 that you can claim for yourself. Tax purposes, sorry, company's purposes, entire staff's total cost. Because only one staff you can't take. But,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah.
They are given like saying 13,000 scholarship. Yeah, something like that.
Right, okay. So I'm summing up with the online page here. See you all tomorrow.